What's up, gangsters? How about a few minutes of random? Okay, so hopefully this actually will be just a few minutes, because the truth is I'm not really feeling great and don't really feel like doing this, but I kind of need to because reasons I'll get to in a minute. Anyway, I just had a few things that I thought were kind of interesting and cool, but as you can see, I am continuing with work on my Kotare 1/32 scale Spitfire Mark 1A mid, but actually late. And if you want to know more about why it's late and rather than mid, you can see the videos that I made specifically about this thing, which is really a wonderful kit and has been a lot of fun. I love that I've been able to get to this point relatively quickly and easily. And so what you can see here is I've already got the bottom side pretty sprayed up in Sky Type S, which, let's be honest, is there a weirder and cooler color out there in military modeling? I mean, I don't know where they got this, because I don't know about you, but I've never seen sky anywhere at any time that was this color. I don't know, maybe things are just different in the UK. I don't know, but I love it. It's a great color. I'd like to find something else to use it for where it's not, you know, hidden on the bottom. But at any rate, it's all sprayed up. I introduced some post shading to emphasize the griminess around these gun access panels, because on Spitfires, they opened them from the top and the bottom. I think all the reloading and stuff might have been done from the bottom, actually. I'm not sure, but you can see pictures of these panels where they're all flipped down. And so I wanted to show that and just give a little bit of shading to the different, the way that the paint might have looked different on the ailerons, because as far as I understand, they were cloth. I don't know if they were cloth covered or not, but anyway, whatever. They look different. So there's that, and started on the top side. Now for this, one of the cool things about building way too many Spitfires is having masks handy that you can just cut, well, after you scale them up. So these are on Oramask 810, which I really like a lot for stuff like this. It has, I guess people have some problems with it, like shrinking and doing weird stuff. And I guess maybe you can even kind of see that, like right there. I only cut these just a few days ago. I don't know. I've never found it to be an issue. I use the masks almost like immediately as soon as I cut them. So having them do weird things while they're still on the backing paper is not an issue. And I've heard people say that they'll shrink and do weird things after they're applied to the model. But again, that also has never been an issue for me, because I just don't leave them on there that long. But I also have not used them for stuff like, canopies where they might be on there for a while. I don't know, but I love Oramask 810. It's kind of hard to get, but it's great stuff. It's stretchy enough to help you conform, when you're trying to lay it over weird surfaces like this. But it's not great at getting tight on small raised surface detail. Things like this little bump, or stuff like the trim tab actuators back here. And for that stuff like that, I find that something like a washi tape material like Tamiya's stuff is better. But if you've got compound curves where you need a little bit of stretchiness over a large surface, it works pretty good. But that still doesn't mean that, like, for example, don't think for a second that I got all of this done in one piece. Absolutely not. It was actually more like 3 pieces. Actually, this is the piece that's the mask. And even though I have it cut as 1 piece on the sheet, I had to cut it into 3 pieces to get it done here. There's a piece that goes down here, and then there's 1 piece on the sheet that goes over the fuselage that I had to split in 2 to get it applied properly for the, to go over the cockpit. And these are masks that I made myself by taking the instruction sheet from the Tamiya Mark I Spitfire, using those as canvas in Fusion 360, and using the sketcher there, because that's a sketching environment that's really familiar to me. It's super easy to use spline curves to lay this stuff out. And then saving those sketches as DXFs and bringing them into Silhouette Studio, which you have to have the Pro version to do it, and converting them into mask files. And that's a 1/48 scale kit. So I had to scale them up by 50% to work for this 1/32 scale kit. And they're fine. They're not perfect. Like, I wouldn't want to really give them to anybody because, you know, there's some places where I had to do a little, you know, you can even see like extra taping and using some Tamiya stretchy tape for curves. You know, but that's not, I don't know, I don't think that's too unusual for a situation like this, and it's not really a big deal. Now, so you may ask, why is like this sort of just shaded in and like this is fully, you know, opaque? So here's my plan. This is going to have sharp-edged camo. Early Spitfires, I was always led to believe that they used these big rubber mats and sprayed over them. And I thought that that was like, everybody knew that and that it was common knowledge. And then somebody told me that that's kind of a myth. I don't know. I thought I saw a video that showed it. I know that like Curtis used some rubber mats. There are photographs that show that. But maybe that is mythology with Spitfires. I don't know, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, I don't know why they wouldn't. It seems like it'd make perfect sense. But whatever. Early Spits pretty much always had sharp-edged camo. However they got it, I don't know. But what I want to be able to do is achieve that between the green and the tan, and not count on the masks mating edge to edge. In other words, I don't anticipate that if I left all of the masks for the green parts on there, that I would be able to spray and do all of the things that I'm going to do to the dark earth, and then remove those masks and apply the reverse mask and have the edges match up perfectly. That's just not going to happen. So my plan is, because I always want to spray the lighter color first, I know that I can overlap the green with the tan and it won't be an issue. So what I'm going to do now that I've got this map laid out is I'm going to freehand all of the edges, and I'll have a soft edge that goes outside of this boundary. And I'll do all the things that I'm going to do to get the tonal variety. And then I'll come back and use the reverse side and mask over all of the tan. And I'll have just a little bit of tan sticking out from it. But then when I spray green, that'll give me the hard edge that I want. And I'll do all the things to the green and I'll be done. Now, why is the nose fully colored in? That is because the nose is going to get completely oversprayed with this red, white, and blue stripe situation going on here. Because as it turns out, this thing is going to be representative of an aircraft that was used as a bogey in a training squadron, and the whole nose was painted red, white, and blue. That's why I fell in love with it. And you can see I've already done the prop, you know, because I kind of wanted to, I mean, I just needed to get the prop done anyway, but I also wanted to just kind of establish the look, make sure that I had some blue that I was happy with. I don't know what it is about blue. I rarely ever use it, and I don't keep a lot of it around, and it seems like whenever I need it, I don't ever have the one that I want, and I end up having to mix it up. And in this case, I did it by using some MRP white that I tinted with Liquitex acrylic blue ink. And yes, you heard me correctly. That's MRP lacquer that I tinted with acrylic ink, and then I just reduced it a bit. And it's not the best necessarily. It works. It doesn't mix perfectly. You'll see it gets just a little bit granular, but it's not a problem. It sprays fine. The one thing that I noticed is that it's not quite as durable. Like when I was doing my panel line wash and removing the excess, I could see, like with a Q-tip that had mineral spirits on it, that a little bit of the blue would come off, whereas none of the red or the white would, which kind of makes sense because it's just more fragile. It's Liquitex ink, and it's mostly pigment. Anyway, worked good. I've got it all protected with some MRP Super Clear Matte, and I'm very happy with the look. You can see that I did, in order to get the kind of speckled look that a black prop has gotten after being out in the weather. I used some neutral gray oils and did the things there. And yes, no yellow tips. Like, how often do you get that lucky? They normally did have them, but in the photographs that I have of this particular aircraft, it does not appear to have had yellow tips. So sweet. One more thing that I get to avoid. Anyhow, so the nose is going to be all overpainted with white and then the red and the blue stripes. And so I don't care about being able to do the tonal variety in this that I will do in the other places. Why did I even bother painting it? Because when I get out the sandpaper and start to do some chipping, because there is chipping fluid all around here, you can see, like I've already got the MRP Super Silver on the wing root. That's got all hairspray on it. Anyway, there's going to be some chipping and some wear, and I'm hoping that some of the green and the tan will pop through the white, and you'll sort of get that story of something that's been overpainted. It's one of those things that I do hoping that it'll turn out cool, and it may not even end up showing, but there's no harm in it. So anyway, why not? All right, so moving on, speaking of masks, something that I've really been looking forward to trying is these one-man army laser cut stencil masks. These things are all the rage, and it's easy to see why, because stencils suck. Like, they're a lot of work to apply, and then you got clear film around all the lettering that's hard to, can be difficult to deal with. And look, paint is always better than decals. So being able to paint stencils, yeah, that's been like an unobtainium, because none of the knife blade type cutters that we all use, like the Cricut or the Silhouette Portrait, will do such tiny letters. That takes a laser cutter. And I know some guys who have experimented with it and just not had much success, but they weren't like dedicated to doing it. This guy in Belgium, he's figured it out. And these things, look at this. These are amazing. He cracked the code. Like that, like getting all of the spacing and the attachments, like where you need to have the middle of the O still there, like a stencil does. And not even any burn marks. So like he's got his laser dialed, and these are just so cool, and I can't wait to try them out. Obviously, you're going to have to spray carefully and lightly and dryly, because you don't want to get any buildup. You don't want an edge. So I'm going to probably test him out a little bit, and he gives you plenty of room to do that. I love this. This is for a specific aircraft that apparently was called Dirty Dick. You got to love that. And look, even has the, that old, whatever it is, Roman or medieval looking font. Just really fantastic. So I'm looking forward to trying these out. And they're a little expensive, I'm not gonna lie. They were $45 for this whole set. But I mean, look, you get a lot of stuff. You get all of the markings, the big markings, the roundels, which I'm certainly gonna make use of. You get some letters, and again, these are for specific aircraft that I'm not gonna do, so they're not gonna help me. But you get all the things, and it's beautifully packaged, beautiful instruction sheet. This is a high quality product, and I absolutely love when somebody sees a need in the marketplace and then goes after it with full dedication to all the things. And another guy who does that always is my friend Tom Annies. And we all kind of know his stuff. He makes really cool little detail parts, and he sent me some samples of some new things. These are some connectors that are just fantastic. I need to do something again that's got all the details so that I've got an excuse to use these. I mean, look at those. Get 3 different sizes and you get a whole bunch of them. His newest thing is he decided to take his world famous 1/32 Corsair canopy frame and scale it down. He actually ended up redesigning the whole thing because, it's just hard. When you make something, you design it to print well at one scale, like 1/32, and you try to scale it down, it just rarely works well. So he just redesigned the whole thing, and so instead of being the like 20 pieces that the bigger scale one is, it's like a little project you got to assemble, this thing is just one piece. So very cool if you're building a 1/48th Corsair. Now, one of the reasons that he sent it to me was because I was grumbling. I told you guys in the video about the Kotare project that I was going to use his Spitfire wheels and tires that I was going to print myself, and I did that. And there were a couple of issues that I had. One was that the hub and the tire were just too tight. Couldn't get them in there. Didn't have good clearances. And I didn't want to force it, and I just really wasn't, dedicated to messing around with it at that moment. And then the other thing was that I feel like, from my print, that I want the letters to stick out a little farther. Like, they're even hard to see right here. Maybe I can get it in the right orientation. And this is kind of my point, is that you're gonna, these are, those letters are super cool, and I'm gonna want to dry brush over those so that they stick out visually on the finished thing. And I was grumbling to Tom about all of these things, and he's like, bro, it's your printer. And I'm like, dude, my printer's fine. It's an Epix X1 4K. So it's an older machine, but it's got a pixel resolution of 31 microns. It was the best you could get at that time. And he was like, no, let me send you some of mine. And I'm like, hey, sure, absolutely. I'm not going to be mad about that. So he did, and he prints this stuff on his Frozen Sonic Mini 8K, which has a pixel resolution of 22 microns. And he prints also at 10 micron layers, and I printed these at 20. I just can't get my machine to cooperate at 10 micron layers. He's got his dialed in, but even he's found out that, like, from one machine to the next, you may not be able to. Anyway, this is a great comparison. You can see, his machine has better resolution. Hopefully it'll focus up here. And you can see that his lettering is more crisp than mine. I still wish it stuck out further, not gonna lie. I feel like it's one of those things where, I'd like for it to be a little bit over scale so that it's easy to see and easy to paint. Like, I'm afraid that when I go to dry brush this, that I'm gonna end up with a bunch of gray paint where I don't want it. But I don't know, we'll see. I'll probably just prime these up and just do it to see how it is. I've got the kit tires and wheels ready for paint if I choose to use them. And they were easy. They weren't much trouble. The joint between the two was not a big deal. And the detail on these, you have to admit, is super nice. They just don't have all the lettering that the real things did. And Tom is a great designer, so he included those. But here's what I really liked seeing. It's rare that you get a chance to do a direct head-to-head comparison of parts between your own printer and somebody else's printer. So you can see the level of crispness and detail on his wheels. You can see every notch in the castle nut. You can see the space around the cotter key that goes through the axle, valve stem, and those little holes that are around the edge of that rim. I mean, it's just fantastic. And you can see it all on mine as well, but just not quite as crisp. Just not quite. Like, if you didn't have the two to compare, I don't think you could argue that these would be good enough. But when they're side by side, you can definitely see the difference between that 31 micron resolution at 20 micron layer thickness and the 22 micron resolution at 10 micron layer thickness. So we'll give you one more look at these, and you can really see the difference there. I mean, his prints are just fantastic. Good stuff. He's a master printer. He's a great designer. So anyway, that's all the things. Oh, wait, there is one more thing. I almost forgot. It's one of the main reasons that I decided to do this video. I've got something cool that I want to show you guys. Okay, I had to get some stuff out of the way. This thing is large. So recently, a friend of mine told me that he was cleaning out a storage unit, and he used to build models and had a bunch of them, but he had gotten away from it. He collected kits, and he's moving, and he decided he wanted to get rid of all this stuff. And he's like 70, so he had some stuff from the way back. And this box he brought me, he actually brought me a whole box of stuff that's sitting over there. And I'm thinking about maybe doing a series of let's open the box. What's in the box? You guys know I don't do, inbox reviews, and that's not what this would be. But just like, hey, what's in here? This is going to be cool. And we'll see it at the same time. Because anyway, this one I've already been through because I could not resist, and you'll see why in a minute. This thing is from the early 80s. We don't even know who this guy was. This is not my friend. Don't go try to find him. Anyway, as you can see, it came from England, and here's what's in it. All right? This is just so dope. All right? This is a metal kit of the BSA Gold Star, which, if you know anything about motorcycles, you know this is one of the most iconic motorcycles in history. These things were super popular, and not just for the street, but also they got converted into dirt bikes for what were called scrambles at the time, back in the early 60s. with knobby tires and all the things. That they were the first motocross bikes. So this thing is super cool, and not just because of what it is, but because this thing has literally every bit of everything in the box. All the instructions, like look at these, you know, typed on the weird size paper that you guys over in Europe use. All of, you know, the what are probably hand-drawn instructions. And then it's got, this is a photo etch sheet that's got the spokes. So, you know, and I don't know if I haven't really tried to figure it out. I feel like these might be stainless steel. It kind of has that look and feel. Probably not nickel silver. I don't know. Anyway, if I were going to build this, I wouldn't use them because the spokes are flat and you can do much better with nickel silver rod. Anyway, there's an envelope that's got the decals in it. And then there's this letter from the guy. Dear model motorcycle enthusiast, it's signed by this guy, Dave Balch, and kind of gives like the whole story there. And then there's some copies of like the magazine ads or whatever. I guess that's what these are. And then you get to the actual parts. Now, some of you guys know that a few years ago, I bought and started a Model Factory Hero Bruff 100, which I swear I'm gonna finish, and it's been languishing. I built the wheels and then just got a little tired of it, got onto other stuff. I'm gonna finish it. But this thing is so impressive because honestly, I feel like the parts in here are actually better than what's in the Bruff kit. And these are 40 years older. I mean, you know, and the way that it's packaged in all this foam, I mean, look, the detail is pretty solid for what it is. And the castings are really good. Like there's not a bunch of like inclusions and pits. Oh look, there's over here, vacuum formed headlight lens, rubber tires. I don't know, probably actually more like vinyl. But anyway, the treads are really good. I don't know, I think I would probably replace these with 3D printed tires. But just, you know, really beautiful detail. And then you've got like these chrome plated parts for the fenders and the tank inserts, and just brilliant finish on all of these parts. And then you've got like, here's all these little cylinder head fins are floating all around inside the box. But then you've got individual parts like the controls that are also electroplated. You can tell it's electroless nickel because it's kind of got that yellowish tint to it. Pretty realistic. Really good stuff. Great detail. Just look at that. So yeah, this thing is fantastically cool. I've done some research on it. I have not been able to find really any references to this kit or the manufacturer anywhere on the interwebs. It has to be valuable. I mean, I paid like nearly $300 for the Model Factory Hero kit that I bought, and they're like $500 now. So I have to believe that this thing is really worth quite a bit, but there's no way to value it because there's no references. But if anybody out there watching this knows anything about the kit or the manufacturer or this guy, Dave Balch, hit me up. Find me on Facebook. Let me know. Now, with all of that said about how much I love this, am I going to build it? No. For several reasons. One, I love the BSA Gold Star, but I don't love it enough to fit this into my life. not anytime soon anyway. Number 2, there is a guy, which you may have heard of, you may have seen his work if you are in Scale Modelers Critique Group, named Peter Buckingham. I feel like it should be Sir Peter Buckingham, because he is an elderly and distinguished gentleman, and he is a world-class model maker. And his specialty is motorcycles. Like, he takes old motorcycle kits and basically scratch builds anything he doesn't like, and then takes it to Telford, because he lives in the UK, and wins Best of Show. Like, he's that gangster. And he's an awesome dude. And in fact, he used to race scrambles back in the 60s. Like, he's OG. He isn't just a great model maker, he's a true motorcyclist. And I just thought, you know what, it would be super cool to send this to him. He will give it way more love than I ever could. So that's what I'm gonna do. Not selling it to him, not doing anything like that, just gonna send it to him because I want to see this thing come to life, and I can't think of anybody better. So I told him, but the deal is he's got to post a lot and send me pictures so that maybe I can even talk about it, or we can make a whole little adventure about it. I don't know. Anyway, that's the thing, and that's what's going to happen, and I think it is super cool, and I had to show you guys.